Hello and welcome back to Phil's Drone Zone and to part 4 of learning piece by piece, the complete guide to Motion 5 for absolute beginners, building week by week into a very comprehensive course. If you are a first-time visitor here, don't forget to click the subscribe button, click that bell, and stay updated for future videos in the series. Okay, let's go to generators and grab our gradient again and drop it into the group. And this time I'm going to use a preloaded gradient, so I'm going to choose Dawn. There we go. And I'm going to set the type to radial this time. Okay, right click on the screen and click Edit Position to bring up our little slider control on screen. And we can use this to position it and to make it into whatever we want our gradient to be. So have a good play around in there. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I'm just going to create a half decent background, use the slider controls to alter it and to play with it and get it as you particularly want it. But I'm fairly happy. I'm just going to make it a little bit less transparent in the middle. And then there we go, we'll close that group and we'll call it a day. Okay, before moving on to today's lesson, a couple of things that I might not have explained properly last time. So let's create a new group and then we'll go to draw a line. So we'll grab our line from the shapes menu, and if I don't do anything, just try to drag the line. You can see I can drag that line all over the place, and it's quite difficult to get it centered properly. So let's delete that. Now if I go to line again, the line tool again, hold down the shift key, and I can't actually move it off a straight line. So by holding down the shift key, you get a perfect straight line every time. You see, again with a vertical line, it's perfectly straight. So remember, hold down the shift key while you're drawing your line and it'll be perfectly straight. Okay, so let's have a look now. Let's create a circle and we'll create an outline. Remember to hold down the shift key again to make a perfect circle, and we'll turn that into an outline. We'll change the color so we can see it, and then when I use the offset points, you can see it starts at the 9 o'clock. Well, I don't like that position it starts, so I want it to start from the top, so I'll just rotate it -90. And once I've done that, then if I go back to shape and use the offset point, you can see it starts from the top. Okay, just a couple of things that I might not have explained adequately last time. Okay, firstly, let's just draw a line and see what else a line can do. So we'll just drag on a line. We'll go to the inspector and change the outline color so we can see it. Now if we click on style here, you can see all sorts of things that you can use to create a line. I sometimes use the dotted line, very rarely, but it is a handy little thing now and again. And you can see it animates exactly the same way. There are so many things in here worth having to play with. I don't use these very much, they're very, very rare, but it's well worth knowing that they're there. So jump in, have a play with the width and spacing, and see if there's anything that you can use as a line that you might think that you could use possibly in the future. Okay, let's move on. We've created a new group, and now we're going to look at the drawing tools. And when you click on that pen icon, you've got a Bezier, which I've got here, which just, if you click on the canvas, it just gives you a collection of points. Hit return, go to the inspector and click off the fill. Now I can just move around the individual control points to where I want them to be. If I right click on one of them, I can create a smooth point, which then allows me to create a curve section. And if I play with the handles and the position of the control point, I can create the kind of curve that I want. So I'll just click on that one, and then we'll straighten up that by turning the handle. And I've got created a nice little curved effect. The B-Spline one is completely different, and when I click these on, you'll see immediately that it's actually creating curves as I click my points on the canvas. Again, change it to an outline, and now I can move these points all around the canvas wherever I want them. Great for freehand, but not something that I use particularly much. But the drawing tools do have many lovely uses. So let's reduce the size of the canvas, and then I'll start drawing a line. So I'm going to click on the Bezier tool. I'm just going to start drawing diagonal lines across the screen. So just popping points in where you want them to be. And if you do make an error, as you can see, I've got a bit of a problem here. I can just click on it and move it to a new location. So then I will carry on drawing my line. One at the top, keep going until I've covered up pretty much the canvas. We'll just move the control point here up to its straight and hit return, and then we will take out the fill, and now we have a line. Now if we click on brush type, we can bring up airbrush. So let's make it a nice pink color. And now when I play with really crank up the width of the line, I can also play with the spacing a little bit. Let's try playing with the spacing. Let's take it back again. And to just play with it to your taste. And then when I animate that, I get this nice spray effect, and that can be really useful later on when we start doing transitions. That can be a very useful tool for you. Okay, but one of the great things about a line is its tracing ability. So I'll just drag in the computer, the laptop that you saw at the beginning, and I'll grab my Bezier tool. I'm just going to very quickly create some points around so we'll start it off about there, and then we'll draw another control point there, and then we will just don't worry about the corner at the moment, and we'll just keep drawing around the computer. I don't want the shadow in, so we're going to cut out the shadow. One point there. And just keep drawing until it's done. Okay, but now the corners are linear, and I need to, as we saw, adjust those so that I can make that little curve bit on the corner of the screen. So I'm just going to play with those until I've got a nice curve at the corner of the screen. Straighten that up a little bit. Okay, cool. Let's move over to the other one. I don't really want to do anything with that point. I'm just going to now bring this down so that it's straight. And then we're going to create a smooth one here so we can create the curve on the other side. Okay, that's done. But, now we have, when we click enter, and make it an outline, we'll turn the outline color to black, set the width to about 3 or 4. Now we have the computer outline, and we can see when we animate that it animates as it does for other shapes. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw in the laptop screen. So I'll add another Bezier, and then I'll just put 4 points in each corner, and that's done. Again, take the fill out, change the outline color to black. I'm going to add another shape for the keyboard section, and again, outline, change the color to black. And then finally, where the shadow is, I'm just going to draw a line across from one side to the other. Just position that line so that I'm happy. Okay, so I have 4 Bezier shapes there. Now we need to animate them. So we'll animate the first one, and we'll set keyframes at the final position. Then we'll animate these to be 50-50 as we did in the previous tutorial, and now it animates on from the center each side, so the computer builds from the center out. Okay, and we'll continue animating each of these Beziers. For this one, we'll use the first offset point for this one, and we'll just set a keyframe, move it forward 60 frames, and then set the keyframe. And we'll continue doing that for the keyboard one. We'll use the last offset point for the keyboard one, so it goes in the other direction. And bring that back up to 100. All this we did in the last tutorial. For the other line, I'm just going to do the 50-50. We'll move that I forgot to keyframe it. So we'll just keyframe at its final position there, move back to the beginning, and then 50-50. So that line will move from the center out. Then we've created this really cool doodle type drawing. Now I can fade my image in. I'll just keyframe the opacity where I want it to begin, and then keyframe the opacity at 100 where I want it to finally appear. And it's a really great little thing you can do with the Bezier tool. And then you can create callouts. Callouts really are just labels, animated labels, which you make just using all the animations that we have tried before. And the great thing about using a Bezier to make your rectangle or your shape is that you can create that dog leg type effect on the pointer. Okay, so let's have a go at one of these, and I want to make one. First of all, let's turn on the grid to make it easier for me. So I want to make one around about somewhere near the bottom of the map here, and then I'll dogleg the pointer up to the Mexico region. So I'll pop in my first point, and in order to see what I'm doing, I'm going to magnify it to 100%. I actually can see that I haven't got my control point in the right place. So I'll reposition that and carry on making my rectangle. Now the secret to this is not to go all the way up to the original control point, but to fall somewhere short. Okay, and then I can make my little dog leg. Okay, well I'll take it up to about here, and then I'll complete the line, and then all I got to do is drag up that control point so that it sits on the corner, and then go to shape and take out the fill, and then we'll decrease the outline to about 4, and then just find the place where you want the animation to begin, somewhere around about 6 seconds, and move the Bezier to where the start is, and then we'll animate using the offset points. I'm going to use the last offset point, then we'll go forward 60 frames, and then we will keyframe our end point. And then we've created the little animated rectangle which you can use for callouts. And by using everything that we've learned so far, you can make some very interesting callouts, or animated labels as I like to call them. Okay, so tasks for today. Firstly, go into the style section on the lines and just have a poke around in there and have a look to see, play with them, see if there's anything that you can possibly use. It's well worth knowing what's in there. Secondly, practice drawing shapes and outlines of shapes using the Bezier tool. Use the B-Spline to create freehand objects. It will feel awkward at first, it did for me, but the more you practice, the better you will get at outlining and creating these shapes. And finally, create as many callouts, animated labels as you possibly can, using what you have learned so far. And Halloween's coming up, why not try creating some with a Halloween theme? Okay, that's it for this video. If you liked the video, please give us a big thumbs up, and don't forget to click that subscribe button and click the bell if you are new here and you want to learn motion. And all that remains to be said now is see you in the next video.